Starting off this countdown, we have Charlie Sheen. Oh boy! Over the years, Charlie Sheen has done some pretty wild and highly controversial things. Let's take a look at some of these things, shall we? In 2014, Sheen was getting treatment for an abscess on his tooth. Apparently though, during this treatment, he freaked out at the dental technician, hit them, and then pulled a knife on the dentist. His excuse? He was high on which doesn't make that any better. And of course, we have the huge divorce scandal with Denise Richards. Denise shed light on just how bad it was with Sheen. There were 17 pages worth of allegations, including him being violent and physical with her on a number of occasions. So this, among a huge list of other scandals, made a lot of people not like him. Plus, rumor has it that he slept with over 5,000 different women. So that in itself gives him a pretty bad reputation. 5,000. In our 9th spot, we have Tiger Woods. When news broke that Tiger Woods was cheating on his wife, it completely destroyed his career. Soon he lost almost all of his sponsors and his reputation was tarnished. He went from the world's #1 ranked golfer and almost lost it all. It all started in 2009 when Woods crashed his Cadillac outside of his Florida mansion. Then apparently his wife, in a rage, used 2 golf clubs to break the rear windows of the vehicle because she found out that he was cheating on her. Woods was all like, no, she actually smashed the window to save me from the vehicle. But of course, that wasn't the case, and people began to wonder what was up between the two. That's when US Weekly published a report that Woods had an affair. Shortly after, dozens of women came forward saying that they too had a relationship with Tiger Woods. Honestly, in 2009, this was one of, if not the biggest scandal of the year. I remember everyone was all like, ooh, Tiger Woods, I don't trust him, he's a cheater. But it seems like they have moved on from all that and they're letting him get back to golf. Moving on, at number 8 we have Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan was one of my favorite actors as a kid. Like, hello? Parent Trap, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, Mean Girls? She was in so many iconic movies. But sadly, the fame and fortune took a toll on Lohan. In 2007, she was arrested for drinking and driving. She went to rehab, and 2 weeks later she was arrested again. This time for possession of another DUI and for driving with a suspended license. This was just the beginning of Lohan's downfall. Over the years, she struggled with her drug and alcohol addictions. It really took over her life and ruined her career. And apparently when she did try to get back into acting, she was a complete diva on set and wouldn't want to leave her trailer to film the scenes. I really wish things would have been different for her. In our 7th spot, we have Lady Gaga. I remember when Lady Gaga first rose to fame, people were so weirded out by her. Her songs were hella catchy, but people weren't too fond of her crazy outfits or unusual music videos. She received so much backlash for wearing that meat dress at the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards. Also, remember when she hatched out of an egg? Or that time she covered herself with fake blood on stage during a 2009 VMA performance? Because Gaga pushed the boundaries, people were not a fan. And immediately, they labeled her as someone who should not be trusted. Nowadays, things are different though. Her award-winning performance in A Star Is Born made people see just how talented and down-to-earth she really is. Also, can we talk about that movie real quick because I bawled. I bawled. I can't get over it. Moving on, at number 6 we have the Kardashians. You either really love them or you really hate them. Over the years, the family has had their fair share of scandals. From Kylie's recent swimsuit scandal to Kim and Kanye drama to denying getting work done, you name it. Sure, they might be entertaining to some, but to others they are bad role models and are setting the wrong example for kids. But if you are a fan, let me know in the comments below, which Kardashian is your favorite and why is it Kylie? I feel like everyone just likes her. No shade. She's cool. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Bob Saget. Are you a fan of Full House? Then you probably know Bob Saget as Danny Turner in the show. Well, a lot of rumors have been going around about Bob and saying that he was inappropriate to the Olsen twins when they were on the show. First off, he admitted to being inappropriate with the Michelle stand-in, which was a real-life Michelle-sized doll that they would use to prepare for the scenes when Mary-Kate or Ashley weren't available for practice. He would get handsy with the doll and do disturbing things with it. The worst is what was said about him during the Comedy Central roast. A lot of the comedians made jokes about Bob taking advantage of the twins while on set. One joke talks about how Bob was only interested in the girls until they turned 21. But that is nothing compared to how dark and disgusting the other jokes were. Although they are jokes, it makes you wonder if there's any truth behind them. In our fourth spot, we have Marilyn Manson. Antichrist superstar Marilyn Manson has done some highly controversial things over the years, like engaging in self-harm on stage during one of his concerts. In 1995, he took a broken beer bottle and plunged it into his chest and then dragged it across his skin, wounding himself and leaving a permanent scar. He also got arrested at a Jacksonville, Florida concert for using adult toys publicly and then urinating on the crowd. Or how about the time he went grave digging and took human skeletal remains? He then took it back to his hotel and put the bones in a pipe and smoked it. I mean, that's just some of the many dark and messed up things that Manson has done. The list is very lengthy. In our third spot, we have Bill Cosby. For years, there were allegations of Bill Cosby taking advantage of women. Then in 2014, comedian Hannibal Buress made a joke in his stand-up routine about Bill Cosby and all of this.
That shit is upsetting. If you didn't know about it, trust me. When you leave here, Google Bill Cosby.
The joke went viral and it allowed dozens of women to come forward and say that they were victims. By 2015, there were 35 women who came forward. As years went on, the number increased to more than 60 women. What's crazy is that The Cleveland Show and Family Guy all made jokes about Bill Cosby and what he was doing to women years ago. This was years before the situation came to light. So people were out here warning everyone about Bill for years. In our second spot, we have Kevin Spacey. Over the years, a number of men have come forward claiming that Kevin Spacey tried to make advancements on them or that he had taken advantage of them. It started in 2017 when Anthony Rapp claimed that when he was 14, Spacey made a sexual advancement towards him. It didn't take long for other actors to come forward with similar accusations. But it seems like people in Hollywood knew about Spacey years before the allegations came forward. In 2005, Family Guy made a joke about Spacey. In a season 4 episode, as a dare, Stewie runs naked through a mall, saying, "Help, I've escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement." In 2017, when Anthony came forward, one of Family Guy's showrunners got questioned, and he admitted, and I quote, that there have always been rumors out there about him. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Harvey Weinstein. Years before Harvey Weinstein was exposed, a number of celebrities tried to warn us about him. Let's take a look at this interview with Courtney Love from 2005. While on a red carpet event for the Pamela Anderson Comedy Central roast, Love was asked if she had any advice for a young girl moving to Hollywood. She said, and I quote, "If Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party in the Four Seasons Hotel, don't go."
Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party in the Four Seasons Hotel.
After saying this, Love apparently got eternally banned from CAA, Creative Artist Agency. But wait, there's more! Elijah Woods was another celebrity who tried to warn everyone about Weinstein, and then he got blacklisted for doing so. He said that as a child he was never allowed to go to the Hollywood parties because people of power would take advantage of the young stars there. He said, and I quote, "If you're innocent, you have very little knowledge of the world, and you want to succeed. People with parasitic interests will see you as their prey." But no one listened to him. He tried to expose them and stop these disgusting things from happening. Instead, he got boycotted by major studios because of this.
At number 10, Kim's nannies. Kim Kardashian is arguably the most famous of the Kardashian sisters and also seems to be the busiest. For example, Kim has 4 kids, a skincare line, her Skims brand, she's attending law school, co-founded an equity team, and recently even hopped on the podcast train. And that's all on top of filming their new reality show on Hulu. You may be asking yourself, how does one woman do all that by herself? She pays people to do it for her, duh. Kardashian has multiple assistants and nannies to help her stay above the overwhelming workload, but has been known to treat them as lesser than her. For instance, on several occasions, Kim and her daughter North would go to lunch accompanied by their nanny, but Kim made her not only sit at a separate table away from them at the restaurant, known to make her nannies walk at least 10 feet away from her at all times. If they walk near her or attempt to walk side by side, apparently she blows up on them behind closed doors. Needless to say, she has had many nannies over the years and has probably made them all cry at least once. At number 9, Courtney in general. While Kim may not be the best boss in the world, it's Courtney who is known as the absolute worst boss of all time. According to former nannies, Courtney was by far the worst Kardashian to work for. Not only is she a neat freak, needing every single thing to be exactly where it should be, she's also known for being surprisingly cheap, even once calling a different grocery store while she was shopping to compare the price of a chicken breast, because if anyone needs that extra 99 cents, it's Courtney. But this isn't the worst thing she's done. One time, Courtney's daughter had bitten a nanny so hard that she had to quit, but instead of letting it go and taking responsibility for not teaching her daughter how to treat people, she berated the nanny, telling her she should have said something to her daughter in the moment. Because it makes sense to blame the woman you're paying to raise your kid instead of the kid herself to prevent future incidents. At number 8, toxic chemicals. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan and is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. I'm not sure Forbes knows what self-made means, but this collaboration would allow Jenner's brand, previously only available online and at pop-up stores, to be placed on shelves in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores. This is unfortunate considering the true nature of just where those products come from. Many employees at the factory that mixed and packaged her makeup and beauty products have been reported that they were never given proper safety equipment that one would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and face completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines and mild chemical burns on their hands. I know they say beauty is pain, but I don't think this is what they meant. At number 7, Victoria. Victoria Valero has been Kylie Jenner's close personal assistant since 2015, but the pair go back to 2014 when Valero was interning as a personal assistant for Kris Jenner. After gaining the family's trust, she was hired as Kylie's house manager and soon after became her personal assistant. Victoria and Jenner became very close over the years, and she was even present at the secret birth of Kylie's daughter Stormi. You would think with being so close to the family, it would be through thick and thin, right? Well, all good things must come to an end as Victoria quit in 2019. Many fans allege that she had quit to focus on becoming an Instagram influencer, but that was far from her real reason for leaving. Being around that family means seeing a lot of stuff and doing a lot of stuff. Victoria was basically in charge of scheduling Kylie's life. Booking appointments, meetings, massages, all of this is stressful enough, basically being a 24/7 gig, but the job was also very degrading, with Kylie even having Victoria pull out a stool and set it up outside so that Kylie could get out of her car smoother. I think anyone in their right mind would want to get out of that job as soon as possible. At number 6, GoFundMe. In March 2021, Kylie shared an Instagram post asking for prayers for one of her makeup artists, Samuel Rhoda, with the post redirecting fans to a GoFundMe page where they were asked to donate money to cover his medical bills for an upcoming surgery. That's right, the woman who got a feature on Forbes' top 60 self-made women list was asking her fans to donate some of their money. Why would Kylie herself not just use some of her billions of dollars to cover the bills? Well, she went online to claim that her and Sam didn't know each other on a personal level. She had worked with him a few years prior and thought he was a sweetheart. Supposedly, her current makeup artist had shared a post about Samuel's accident, which included a link to a GoFundMe campaign created by his family. She went on to let fans know that she herself donated $5,000. Okay, sure, that's a ton of money to most of us, but for Jenner, that's like $5. Something tells me the surgery would be a lot more than that. This is just another instance proving Kylie is the worst, because I know she would drop more than that on a purse. At number 5, the lawsuit. In March of 2021, a lawsuit was arranged by several of Kim's former employees. The plaintiffs claimed that Kardashian failed to pay them overtime, cover expenses, and provide legally mandated breaks. The employees also never received actual pay stubs or any proof of payment whatsoever. They were also made to purchase everything out of pocket, and one plaintiff was even fired on the spot for simply addressing his concerns to Kim. Then, when the rest were eventually let go, they received no type of severance package or pay of any kind. It was also uncovered that Kim would keep 10% of all their earnings for tax purposes, but failed to report their employment to tax authorities. Kim argued that she couldn't be held responsible because most of her employees were apparently hired and paid through third-party companies, meaning Kim herself was technically not their direct employer and therefore cannot be liable. Kim maintains that she paid people on time and that they were suing the wrong person, but if that were the case, Kardashian would have used her high status and influence long ago to make things work for her staff, and maybe she wouldn't have gotten sued by them. At number 4, Kim and Kanye. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West started dating in 2012 and were officially married in 2014. During their marriage, life was rocky to say the least. While Kim was fairly tame for the most part, as we all know, Kanye's mental health was slowly slipping. He began posting hate speech and racially fueled tweets, as well as constantly sharing his political views and publicly backing Donald Trump. Is it really any surprise that Kim found comfort in another man's arms? While hosting SNL in 2021, Kim met Pete Davidson while still married to Kanye. We'll cover their side in another entry. Kanye discovered that Kim and Pete began dating following the live show and seemed to be the final breaking point. Apparently, only a few months before the show, Ye and Kim were constantly arguing about everything. Following their divorce, Kim revealed that she would constantly try to help Ye understand why his views and words were wrong. She wanted him to get better, but instead he doubled down and filed for a divorce. Kim is now happily single and received joint custody of her 4 kids, so it's a win-win for the Kardashian clan and for Kanye. At number 3, they don't pay. While the Kardashians have had their problems with staff individually, there seems to be one specifically toxic trait the family shares as a unit. They don't pay people. Former employees have come forward over the years calling out the family for not paying them fair wages and no overtime hours. The Kardashians don't cover expenses including gas, food, rent. Everything is out of the employee's pocket with zero money coming back. To make matters worse, the Kardashians would not pay them on set paydays, meaning you just got paid when you got paid and had to deal with it. You would think with the family being one of the richest in the world that they would at least pay the people that help run their lives. While they have a massive staff of people cooking their food, folding their clothes, and raising their children, they barely even acknowledge their existence. Just imagine what would happen if the staff decided to walk out. The family would crumble in less than a day. At number 2, paid in exposure. When Andre Turbia, famous YouTube animator and content creator, was asked to work with Kylie Jenner, he thought that his life would change forever. He was under the impression that the collaboration would grant him a huge amount of money, possibly a guest spot on a reality show, and maybe some shoutouts online via Instagram and Twitter. However, when Andre brought up the topic of his compensation to Jenner, she responded with, "The company doesn't really have a budget right now, so we're going to have to pay you in exposure." Like, hey, that's cool, but you can't cook exposure in a frying pan and eat it for dinner, nor is it a currency accepted at most gas stations or banks. And by exposure, she meant Andre's name being in a small print underneath her content. Andre did what anyone in their right mind would do in that situation and refused to work with her, telling her to take that exposure and shove it where the sun don't shine. And at number 1, lied about their wealth. Oh, not enough proof for ya? Well, here you go. As mentioned earlier in this list, Kylie Jenner made the cover of Forbes magazine in 2019 as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. Well, it turns out that wasn't really the case. Jenner allegedly sold half of her company, Kylie Cosmetics, to beauty giant Coty in a deal worth $1.2 billion. This was huge and considered one of the greatest celebrity cash outs of all time. But the first rule of being a famous person is, if you can help it, try not to lie. Especially to Forbes magazine, who did some digging and revealed that Jenner was actually inflating the size and profit margins of her business. It turns out the cosmetic brand was on a much smaller scale than originally thought. As it was uncovered, Jenner only actually made around $314 million after taxes for the company. Several financial advisors backed up the story, claiming that they were berated into complying with the lie and made to help maintain the numbers for the public. Mother of the family, Kris, even played a key role in gathering false business documents to send to Forbes, making her company appear to be in the billions. Remember, if you can't figure something out, just ask mom.
Coming at number 10 today, we have John Oliver. It seems like now that Meghan Markle and Harry have come out to speak their truth in their new documentary series, Meghan and Harry, a chillingly accurate clip of John Oliver warning Meghan Markle has started to resurface again. Back in 2018, Stephen Colbert would be left feeling slightly surprised when John Oliver wasn't excited about the then upcoming royal wedding between Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And 5 years later, the video is actually starting to make a lot of sense. Following the CBS special, an old late night show clip featuring John giving Meghan a persistent warning by saying, "I would not blame her if she pulled out at last minute. I don't think you need to just see the pilot episode of The Crown to get a basic sense that she might be marrying into a family that could cause some emotional complications. I mean, they're an emotionally stunted group of fundamentally flawed people doing a very silly pseudo job. That's what she's marrying into. So I hope she likes it. It's going to be weird for her." At the time of the interview, John would even note that he wouldn't even want to marry into the royal family himself. But the fact that he warned the public that she might back out, and the fact that she backed out of her royal duties is pretty shocking. that he warned us about this and then she married into the royal family anyways. Queen Elizabeth II. Even though Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made a trip to the UK in April of 2021 to visit Queen Elizabeth, it seems like the late Majesty was still less than pleased with her grandson's wife. An inside source would even come out to say Her Majesty believes Meghan and her publicity-obsessed antics pose a real threat to the monarchy. As she faced her final days, Elizabeth detests the self-centered newcomer for tearing Harry from his family to start a new life in America. The truth is, the Hollywood life has always been Meghan's dream, and Harry is her meal ticket. It was also noted that since the beginning, the Queen has always been very suspicious of Meghan, as Meghan has never been able to accept the royal rulebook. But still, because of her grandson, the Queen gave her many chances, and she hated how the Duchess of Sussex betrayed her. It was also stated that the Queen felt like Meghan used her title to gain an ambitious career in politics, which is a big no-no for the British family. After a while, even Queen Elizabeth lost patience with Meghan as she kept thumbing her nose at the royals, and she was letting everyone know what was happening behind the palace doors. Before the Queen passed away, she was really upset that Meghan would accuse the royals of being so cruel, uncaring, racist, and that she even had the guts to diss Prince William's wife, Kate. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in number 8, Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton will never forget how Meghan Markle treated her, but she also has no need to prolong their feud. For years, rumors have been swirling around about a row between the Princess of Wales and the Duchess of Sussex at the wedding to Prince Harry in May 2018, and ever since, the relationship between the two ladies has remained very tense, with Kate saying she found it all to be very mortifying when she heard Meghan was claiming that she actually made Meghan cry during a row over the bridesmaid dresses. Kate has never wanted any suggestion of a rift with Meghan to come out to the press, so when Meghan started circulating lies about their relationship, it was really hard for Kate to deal with, and she did everything she could to keep her feelings private. While inside sources have claimed that Kate and Meghan both have very different versions of the story, she feels like she's not in the position to respond, as she thought it was all sorted out, and now Meghan's airing out all this dirty laundry, and it's just mortifying for Kate. Number 7, Prince William. A friend of Kate Middleton has claimed that Prince William absolutely hates Meghan Markle. In an explosive interview with the Daily Beast, the unnamed friend of Princess of Wales shared just how much Prince William dislikes Meghan and blames her for his falling out with Prince Harry. The source would go on to say the family blames Meghan for it all. Really, they absolutely hate her. Basically, it's a huge disaster. The insider continued to say, growing up, the brothers were so close. They lost their mom and their dad was disengaged, so they had this incredible bond. Everyone knew it. And then Meghan came along, everyone warned him off, but he wouldn't listen, and she just ripped him away. The bond is gone, completely gone, and this film is the latest betrayal. Now William really hates them both, and the friend would state further that it was really toxic and destructive for them all at the end of the day because they were family, and that their whole family has been ruined by Meghan. Number 6, King Charles. With Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continuing to air out the royal family grievances, despite making a few attempts to repair their relationship with the royal family after the Queen's passing, the main issue at play seems to be the ongoing release of their various media projects. With Harry's book and the couple's docu-series being released, it has caused some major tensions between the royals. And Charles has been left feeling pretty betrayed when it comes to Meghan's actions. If you don't recall, during Meghan's and Harry's wedding in 2018, Meghan's father couldn't attend, so she asked Charles if he would walk her down the aisle, and he would agree to Meghan's request because he's always actually been quite fond of her in the beginning. But now he's actually just somehow bewildered. The Queen was used to handling this kind of thing, and it didn't really throw her as much as it's thrown Charles, and understandably, it's because his son and daughter-in-law have been saying some pretty hurtful things. That was actually just really uncalled for, especially when the royal family actually did so much for them, and they did so much to help Meghan transition into her royal duties, and she was just so ungrateful towards the whole process, and it seems like she just never wanted to learn how to follow the royal ways. Number 5, Sharon Osbourne. Sharon Osbourne has never been afraid to share her opinions on Harry Harry and Meghan, although at times she has defended the couple in the past. She has even gone as far to say she felt sorry for them at one point, to make a full 180 calling out the couple for their disrespectful docu-series. Sharon is absolutely done with Meghan playing the victim, as she believes that instead, Meghan should be using her platform to raise awareness for her charity rather than the way she has been treated by the media and the royal family. Sharon will go on to say that Meghan's actions are trash, and that all she ever talks about is how she is treated poorly because of her race and how she acts. Sharon will go on to note that Meghan should instead be grateful because she has a great life, a beautiful family, and she's very much in love and needs to get a life and move on already. With every interview Meghan and Harry do, it seems like all they do is whine about how there's no positive points to any of their stories or proof to back up their stories, so for the most part, Sharon just thinks they're lying. While the press may be hard on Meghan when she came to England, they're hard on so many people, including the rest of the royal family. Number 4. Jeremy Clarkson. Back in December, Jeremy Clarkson would publish a very misogynistic article about Meghan in The Sun, where he wrote that he hated the Duchess of Sussex on a cellular level. In the article, Jeremy would reference a famous scene from Game of Thrones where he wrote, "At night, I'm unable to sleep as I lie there grinding my teeth and dreaming of the day when Meghan Markle is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her." In a tweet published after the article was released, Jeremy would call it a clumsy reference to the scene in Games of Thrones and acknowledge that it had gone down badly with a number of different people. Jeremy would then say, "I was horrified to cause so much hurt, and I shall be more careful in the future." His article would come with the release of Meghan and Harry's Netflix docuseries, in which the couple would open up about the social media threats they received in recent years. Jeremy's article would then spark near immediate backlash from Brits, as Jeremy let his feelings about Meghan and Harry loose. Number 3. Howard Stern. US radio host Howard Stern has slammed both Prince Harry and Meghan Markle over their new docu-series, branding them as whiny bees. When the first 3 episodes arrived on the Netflix platform, it would feature revelations about everything from the couple's first date, Princess Diana, and supposed racism in the UK. However, Howard was clearly not impressed with the series, and he would criticize the pair, saying, "The show is very weird for two people who have historically pleaded for privacy." The couple who stepped away as royals have been able to retain their royal titles, and they have consistently issued statements arguing privacy was not the reason they quit the royal family. Stern would then question the motivation behind the series, which he described as being like watching the Kardashians, except it was boring to watch. Howard would say, "It's been painful. I wouldn't stay with it, but my wife wants to watch it. You know, we have shows that we watch, but they come off like such whiny bees. I gotta tell you, I just don't get it. There's nothing real about the relationship from the beginning to end. Those two whining about wah, and they don't like me, and she wants to be beloved in this country. Man, oh man. It's just very weird to watch two people screaming. We wanted our privacy. We wanted the press to leave us alone. But then we saw them all release everything about their lives on Netflix, so Howard, I personally just don't get it either." Number 2. Piers Morgan. Meghan Markle has been dubbed as being manipulative and controlling by Piers Morgan, who slammed the Duchess after the prince addressed the United Nations on Nelson Mandela Day. In his opinion, the Good Morning Britain would claim that Meghan was doing everything she could to socially climb the ladder, and it's clear that she is actually a ridiculous, two-faced sham. The brutal takedown from Piers would come right after Meghan won her bombshell privacy legal battle with the publisher of the Mail over a letter she wrote to her estranged father. Meghan has previously won the case, but gained a second victory after the publisher fought for an appeal in the case. Well, Meghan described it not only being a victory for her, but for anyone who felt scared to stand up for what's right. In a powerful statement afterwards, throughout the privacy case, there had been a number of bombshell moments from the news that Meghan drafted the letter to her dad knowing that it could be leaked. However, Piers would hit back at Meghan's claims, and he would mock her for impersonating some kind of letter day Winston Churchill rallying a nation in wartime, rather than an unemployed actress fleecing her unelected marital royal status for gazillions from her California mansion. Number 1. Bethany Frankel. Bethany Frankel is always doubling down on her criticism of Meghan Markle as she claims that Meghan has painted herself into a corner following her royal exit. Bethany has said, "Timing is everything. Don't believe you owe BS. And play chess, not checkers." Bethany has also claimed that Meghan caused herself to be in a terrible situation when she and Prince Harry stepped down from their senior royal duties in 2020, and that she effed it all up when it came to her whole life outside of the royal bubble. Bethany would also note that Meghan is a polarizing person, and that we shouldn't get it twisted, as Meghan is very much like a housewife and she can't stop talking about very things she wants to be, and that is to be irrelevant. Bethany would also state when Meghan left the royal family, she should have learned something, and that's if she wanted to leave the royal family, she should have just left the royal family, but instead we see her talking about the royal family in every single interview. But she never wanted to participate in the royal family game until she left the royal family and made it her own game. It honestly takes more energy not to forgive, but Meghan continues to hold on to her judges and expose the royal family in very condescending ways. Number 10. Chevy Chase. In 1978, Murray infamously got into a physical altercation with Chase Chevy. After the star returned to Saturday Night Live as a guest host, it began with the two trading some pretty heavy insults towards each other. It started when Murray telling Chase to go get with his wife, and Chase responded by telling Murray his face looked like something Neil Armstrong landed on. The insults seemed to escalate as quickly as their comebacks did, and television following the rest of the cast watched the two display in a physical altercation. Larnie Newman noted, "It was a very sad and painful thing to watch unfold during her appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen in June of 2021. In May of 2012, Murray called his part in the scandal a childish feeling of jealousy and anger he let control him. He went on to say things that he was mad that Chevy left the cast of Saturday Night Live and Murray somehow was avenging Angel, who had to speak for everybody else. Chevy and Murray are soon back on good terms after the fiasco, and everything was fine as the two starred together in the 1980 comedy Caddyshack shortly after the altercation. Number 9. Richard Dreyfuss. Oscar winner Richard explained when he was working with Murray on the 1991 film What About Bob that Murray was a bully. He explained that Bill drank a lot at dinner and let his true colors showed and allowed everybody to see how much of a bully he was. When reflecting on his whole experience on set, he highlighted one incident where he asked Murray to read a tweak in the script and Murray lost his temper. He went on to say that the star became face to face with him, so close that their noses were touching. Murray then went on to scream at Richard at the top of his lungs and said, "Everybody hates you, you are tolerated." Richard then went on to note that he had no time to react because Murray then proceeded to throw an ashtray at him. Luckily the ashtray missed, and rather than making things worse, Richard decided to leave the room. Richard showed us that Murray has a violent past, not just with female co-stars, but also with his male ones. Number 8, we have Laura Ziskin. Richard Dreyfuss wasn't the only person who had problems with Murray and how he handled himself on the set of filming What About Bob. As producer, Laura Ziskin has said that she once had a disagreement with Murray, which resulted in him tossing her into a lake. Although at the time she called it playful, in 2003 she claimed the event wasn't so playful, as throughout the set, Murray started to become more aggressive. In one incident, Murray asked Laura for an extra day off, and when she said no, he had an epic meltdown and took Laura's glasses off before breaking them and throwing them across the parking lot. The altercation caused everybody to walk off production, and a bunch flew back to LA to film, only after Disney hired some bodyguards to physically separate Murray from harming anyone else between takes. Bill Murray tried to justify his actions in an interview back in 1991, saying he didn't get along with many of his cast and directors, and all he was doing was standing up for himself. Number 7, we have Harold Ramis. Bill Murray had a long decade estrangement from his longtime friend and collaborator Harold. Sadly, the two's friendship collapsed while on set of the film 1993 Groundhog's Day. During a heated creative dispute, Harold said he grabbed Murray's shirt collar and the two got into a heated altercation. In a book later released by Harold's daughter Violet, titled Ghostbusters' Daughter: Life of My Dad, Violet would go on to note that the incident happened and Murray wouldn't speak to Harold for over 20 years, and even though Harold tried not to take it personally, he was ultimately left feeling heartbroken and confused about the unsurprised rejection. Murray was unheard from up until Harold was in the hospital, and Murray showed up to visit his old pal unannounced at 7 a.m. in February of 2014 with a box of donuts and a police escort. With Harold losing his ability to speak, he was no longer able to speak to Murray before his passing. However, Murray didn't mind and hung out with Harold for a couple of hours anyways. I'm glad Bill was able to put the two's differences aside and came together for his friend before his passing. Number 6, we have McG. Moving on to the set of Charlie's Angels, filmed in 2000s, director McG, whose real name is Joseph McGinty Nicol, claimed in an interview with Guardian in May of 2009 that working on movies can be pretty stressful at times, even adding that he doesn't think he's ever been on a film that hasn't had some type of altercation break out. In one incident, his nose was obliterated when his head collided with another. At first, he didn't want to recall the name of the actor with respect, however, he went on to say it was Bill Murray. And the industry is very passionate industry, and people take care of their own work. When Murray heard about the interview, he did his own interview with Times of London in October 2009. The star went on to note that Joseph has a really active imagination, and he doesn't understand why he would make up that story. He then took to the situation further by stating a really serious sentence that made many feel uncomfortable. With Joseph coming forward about his experience in past film sets encountering the same situation, it's easy to see why Bill would lie to cover up the allegations, but now that more stars are coming forward, it's clear that McG had nothing to lie about and was warning us all about the actor before these events could happen again. Number 5, Angelica Houston. Addams Family star Angelica Houston was essentially hurt by Bill Murray's behavior on set of Wes Anderson's 2004 film. Angelica said Bill was horrible after working with him, and in May of 2017, Houston told Vulture that during her first week of set, Bill invited the entire cast for dinner except for her. She went on to say that everyone went out for dinner a little dog-faced at the fact she wasn't there or had been invited, and throughout the day they were telling her, "Oh, you know, we really don't want to go," but they all went otherwise. The whole situation really hurt Angelica. With the film being shot all over Italy, Angelica noted that she didn't see Bill again until they were on set to shoot in Florence. When she entered the set, Bill greeted her and asked her how she was and even said, "I miss you." In the heat of the moment, Angelica looked at him and said he was full of it and told Bill that he didn't miss her. Murray is said to be confused for a moment but was unfazed by the comment. Angelica showed us that Bill didn't care about his castmates and he wasn't afraid to single them out and make them feel unwanted in many situations. Number 4, we have Richard Donner. In the 1988 film Scrooge, directed by Richard Donner, follows Bill Murray as he plays a selfish, cynical television executive, Frank Cross, as he's haunted by 3 ghosts on Christmas Eve. Being the first film that Donner and Murray were set to work in together, Donner was worried because he didn't know if the pair would get along. And considering Murray's past behavior on other sets, I don't blame him. With Scrooge being a box office success, Donner came forward to say that Murray was super creative actor, but occasionally was difficult to work with. He also noted he was only as difficult to work with as any other actor. Cast and crews have gone on to say that the source between the rift between Donner and Murray was mainly because Murray's approach to acting is fully under the approach of method acting. When on scene, Murray has an approach that is somewhat wild and reckless, which can pose difficulties for actors and directors who are more comfortable with working in more traditional methods. With there being two sides to every story, Murray went on to say that the two had a disagreement over every single minute of the day because Donor demanded for lines to be delivered louder. Despite their differences on set, the two were still able to work it out and create an amazing film, which is still today's best holiday classic films to watch for the Christmas season. Number 3, Gina Davis. On the 1990 film set of Quick Change, Gina Davis explained how she was harassed and that she should have walked out. In her memoir titled Dying of Politeness, the Oscar-winning actress highlighted the actor once screamed at her on set for being late and continued to yell as he followed her to her trailer on the set. The altercation happened in front of a large crowd, cast, crew, and onlookers, but the star noted she should have walked away from their first meeting or profanely defended herself so she wouldn't have gotten the part. Davis and Murray first met in a hotel suite where he continued to try to use a massage device on her throughout her audition after her initial refusal. Davis explained she could have avoided the inappropriate treatment if she knew how to react or what to do during the audition, but she also didn't want to appear hard to work with, so she stayed quiet. She then went on to say that there's no point in regretting things, yet she's still here regretting it. This isn't the first time Murray has been linked to inappropriate behavior, as recently on the Searchlight Pictures suspended the production of Being Mortal after allegations surfaced of Murray engaging in an inappropriate way towards other cast members. Murray tried to defend his actions by saying, "I did something funny and it wasn't taken that way." Number 2, Jennifer Butler. On October 12, 2008, Jennifer Butler filed for divorce from Bill Murray, while alleging that their relationship was brutal and uncomplimentary. After 11 years together, the couple's relationship ended with both parties being accused of ugly behavior that played out in front of the press. While filing for divorce, Jennifer also requested at the time that there be a restraining order placed against her husband. While Bill's lawyers did come out to say they couldn't comment on the fact of the case, they did say Bill was deeply saddened by the breakup, and Jennifer Butler's accusations against her husband showed that Murray was aggressive both on and off set, and that her story should have been the reason the star was cancelled years ago before this mess got any worse. The two remained loving parents to their 4 children and would remain that way on best behavior for the best interest of their children. Number 1, Lucy Liu. Lucy's experience with Bill on the set of Charlie's Angels was truly heartbreaking, considering the stars showed amazing chemistry on screen. However, Lucy went on to say that she got into an argument with Murray on set and he started using language that was inappropriate and unacceptable. On the Los Angeles Times podcast, Asian Enough, Lucy said that during the confrontation, she stood up for herself and did not regret doing it. The star went on to note that no matter how high you get on the totem pole, there's no reason to put other people down. Liu went on to say that the clash came during a rehearsal on a scene which had recently been reworked. Bill was unable to come because he had to attend a family gathering, and when he learned about it, he was upset and hurled insults at her. Lucy definitely wasn't having it, and she definitely wasn't going to sit around and be talked to in a degrading language, so she decided to speak up for herself and stand by the one thing she had, which was her self-respect and dignity. Murray later downplayed the incident by saying, "Look, I will dismiss you completely if you are unprofessional in working with me. When our relationship is professional and you're not getting that done, forget it." Since the incident, many crew members who were on the set have told Lucy they're really grateful for what she did. Lucy then went on to say that since the film, her and Murray reconciled and that they have nothing bad to say about him. The two started talking at the Saturday Night Live reunion, and he was perfectly nice to her, but she also noted she would no longer sit around and be walked all over. Like Lucy, many stars have addressed their concerns about Bill over the years, and Hollywood should have been keeping an eye on it before matters got worse. Coming in at number 10, we have Aaron Taylor Johnson. Just after the movie Bullet Train hit theaters, Brad Pitt's co-star, Aaron Taylor Johnson, had a lot to say about the 58-year-old co-star Brad Pitt. He even revealed that his humble and gracious human being has a list of actors he refuses to work with. He's in a new chapter of his life. I think you work with many actors, and after a while you start making notes. I'm definitely not working with this person again. Brad has
has this list too. The good list and the bad list. True, not everybody gets along with each other on set, and Hollywood has a history of co-stars clashing. So if Brad Pitt is looking to keep himself out of drama by eliminating people he doesn't want to work with, then more power to him. There's no doubt that Aaron and Brad had a great working dynamic from what we can see in the movie. Let's just hope these two don't have each other on the bad list and they're on each other's good list so we can see them work together in the future. Coming in at number 9, we have Mark Forrester. It's claimed that since 2012, Mark Forrester and Brad Pitt refused to talk to each other, and probably for good reason. It's said that the relationship between the actor and director broke down to a degree that when they were filming the zombie apocalypse film, World War Z, the two had to communicate through third parties on set. With the film working on a tight deadline and the script being finalized and release dates being pushed back, and Pitt having final approval over new pages written by the writers, things definitely got a little heated on set. While Pitt wanted to salvage the end of the movie, Forrester wanted to scrap it and make the ending more simple. When Mark opened up about the drama, he said he believed he wasn't the problem in the first place, and rather than chucking more CGI at the problem, Mark stuck with his gut and basically kept pushing till the problem went away. So kudos for him for having the strength to do that. At number 8, we have Tom Cruise. Now, the pair starred in the 1994 film Interview with the Vampire. Pitt stated he couldn't stand working with Tom Cruise and that he found him annoying. Brad also noted that while they were filming the film, the actor felt miserable and that Cruise bugged him so much, it came to the point he started to resent him. The filming was so bad, at one point Cruise even tried to get off the film by asking the producer and film executive, David Geffen, how much it would cost, and David told him $40 million. Ultimately, Cruise decided to stay on the film, and the finished product shows that Pitt and Cruise had tension as both appeared to look exhausted. With the new Maverick sequel hitting box office, Tom wasn't shy to remind folks that he's back on top in Hollywood while his past co-host is nowhere near. Number 7, we have Harrison Ford. With claims that the devil was with them both, rumors started circulating that both Harrison and Pitt didn't get along while filming The Devil's Own. With Pitt noting that the film was the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking he's ever seen, majority of the two feuds came from the fact the actors couldn't decide which character should be the center of the film. With the two doing separate interviews about the film, Ford came out to say that for a second, Brad forgot for a minute he was talking to someone who was paid to write this stuff down. While the two were really excited to work with each other before the film started, it's sad to see that these great actors clash and let the worst get the best of them. Number 6, we have Mark Canton. Now, Harrison wasn't the only one who is said to had a feud with Brad Pitt while on the set of The Devil's Own. When Pitt claimed the film was irresponsible and that he couldn't believe how toxic the set was, news started to circulate that Pitt wanted to leave the film. That's when Mark Canton, the head of Columbia Pictures, had to threaten Pitt with a $63 million lawsuit that if he went through with the walkout, he was gonna sue him that. Mark even had to tell the actor that he didn't care and just to shoot something. While the filming was taking place, Pitt ultimately decided to avoid the lawsuit and stay on set. Number 5, we have Jennifer Aniston. Back in 1998, Jennifer and Brad were spotted on their first date, and by November of 1999, the two announced their engagement to the world, getting married on July 29, 2000. Despite both claiming they were madly in love with each other, ultimately, they decided to file for divorce on March 25, 2005, as rumors started circulating that Pitt may have had an intimate relationship with co-star Angelina Jolie while on set of Miss and Mr. Smith. Just after the divorce, Aniston agreed to do an interview with Vanity Fair where she opened up about still mourning her marriage and she desired just to move on. Aniston explained that her relationship sadly came to an end when it cracked open that she was shown photos of Pitt and Angelina, and she was sad because Pitt and Angelina beforehand denied both the allegations that they were together. Since the pair split, the two since seem to have rekindled their friendship and have gotten close since Pitt divorced Angelina Jolie. Shia LaBeouf. coming in at number 4. When on set of Fury, Brad Pitt is said to had some tensions with the actor. Shia didn't play around when it came to his character for his parts of the film, and he was so committed to the role he wanted to bring justice to his character. The actor was so into character, he even had one of his front teeth removed and went days without showering. While Shia was determined to make an impression with his work on Fury, he may have rubbed off the wrong way towards Brad Pitt. With a lot of the tensions on set, Shia explained that him and Pitt actually ended up in a physical altercation where they were constantly butting heads throughout the filming process. Pitt has refused to talk about the feud and ultimately decided to praise the actor on his commitment to his work. Number 3, we have Leonardo DiCaprio. Before the 2019, when the pair filmed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it said that Leonardo DiCaprio actually had a restraining order against Pitt, and ultimately that's why they didn't star any films together before 2019. In an interview, Brad joked that an incident they were no longer like to talk about happened as a result of the pair not getting along. In 1994, when Pitt was engaged to 90s blonde icon Gwyneth Paltrow, it said that Gwyneth broke Brad Pitt's heart when she ended their engagement, and after the breakup, it's rumored that Gwyneth was seen with Leonardo DiCaprio, and the pair was seen together. This obviously didn't sit well with Pitt, and his actions were pretty questionable towards DiCaprio, causing the restraining order to be put in place. However, in 2019, the stars both squashed their beef and are now said to be the bestest of friends. Number 2, we have Mike Tyson. Brad Pitt has always been in the headlines when it comes to his relationships, and this particular fling, no one saw coming. In 1988, Mike Tyson explained he was seeing now ex-wife Robin Givens when he caught Robin and Brad together. Tyson claimed he was mad and hurt by the incident, and he and Robin shortly after finalized their divorce. While Tyson claimed he was hurt by the whole ordeal, he also noted that he holds no ill feelings towards the top-ranked actor. Number 1, we have Angelina Jolie. Now, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have had an ongoing feud since their split in 2016. With the two being locked in a messy court battle for divorce, the custody of their children, Angelina recently brought up some completely shocking allegations against Pitt that haven't been discussed to the public before. The allegations claim Pitt was passionately aggressive, not only towards Jolie, but their children as well. While Pitt has decided to remain silent on the new allegations, Angelina is definitely set to expose more allegations to the public soon, which is definitely going to be hard for Brad Pitt to bounce back from this one.
Number 10, Prince Harry. Since stepping down from royal duties, Prince Harry has made his disdain for Charles pretty apparent, but he took his family beef to the next level when he criticized Charles's parenting on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast. The 36-year-old claimed that his father handed down a cycle of genetic pain and suffering to him, which is why he and his wife Meghan Markle moved to Los Angeles. Harry says that they got out of the royal family to break the cycle. Quote, "He treated me the way he was treated. So how can I change that for my kids? We as parents should be doing the most we can do to try and say, you know what, that happened to me and I'm gonna make sure that doesn't happen to you." Harry went on to describe his life as a royal as a mixture of The Truman Show and being in a zoo. In fact, Harry said that he had debated leaving the royal family since his early 20s because of what it did to his mom, which contradicts the narrative that Meghan was the one who wanted to leave. Number 9, Meghan Markle. During her explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey, the Duchess of Sussex claimed that someone in the family had expressed concern about the complexion of her child's skin. It was then that the allegations started to snowball, and Prince Harry told the Star that the incident happened right at the beginning of the pregnancy and left him a bit shocked. Meghan told Oprah, "In those months when I was pregnant, all around the same time, we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born." Then a royal book by Christopher Anderson revealed that a source close to the family claimed that it was Charles who made the comment during a conversation over breakfast with his wife wife Camilla on the day that Meghan and Harry's engagement was announced. He allegedly asked Camilla, "I wonder what the children will look like," and lowering his voice asking, "I mean, what do you suppose the children's complexion might be?" So it wasn't exactly subtle. Number 8. Trevor Noah. The Daily Show host made it clear that he is not a fan of the new king at all and decided to make fun of his pen complaints. The British monarch got the whole internet laughing with his bizarre behavior because it was all caught on camera. The first time he frantically urged staff to clear the extra pens from his desk while he signed his accession proclamation. The second time was when he got really mad over a leaky pen, saying, "I can't bear this bloody thing. What do they do every stinking time?" But Trevor Noah thought he was being ridiculous and said, "What the hell was that? Did you see that thing that he did? He's also the ruler of an animal kingdom." I love how Charles says the pens leak on him all the time. You're literally the king of England, dude. If you don't like the pens, get different pens. I'm not an expert in the monarchy, but I'm pretty sure the hierarchy doesn't go Prince William, King Charles, and then the guy who buys the pens. Number 7. Jesse Armstrong. The creator and writer of HBO's Succession decided to use his acceptance speech at this year's Emmys to take a dig at King Charles. Jesse Armstrong graced the stage twice, once to pick up an award for his writing on the show, and again with the entire cast and crew to receive the Outstanding Drama Series award. He said, "A big week for Successions. New king in the UK, this for us. Evidently a little more voting involved in our winning than Prince Charles." Even in a room full of Americans, the audience was very shocked at this risky joke, and gasps could be heard on live broadcast. When there was a bit of an uncomfortable silence, the show's lead actor Brian Cox told him, "Keep it royalist," but Jesse kept going and said, "I'm not saying we're more legitimate in our position than he is. We'll leave that to the other people." According to eyewitness accounts, there was very little laughter in the room and most people just felt plain awkward. Number 6. Tony Blair. The royals are expected to understand that party politics and individual politicians are totally off limit for public comment. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair was so furious about Prince Charles's behavior during his time in Downing Street that he reportedly complained about him to Queen Elizabeth. He accused Charles of crossing the line and meddling in political matters by trying to influence government policy. The ex-Labour leader was said to have become exasperated by his interventions over agriculture, the armed forces, architecture and homeopathy, and even genetically modified foods. Then scandal erupted for both men in 2015 when they became embroiled in the scandal known as the Black Spider Memos, which was a collection of 27 letters that Charles sent from 2004 to 2005 lobbying the British PM for the policy changes that he hoped for. This was a pretty big controversy considering that members of the royal family are supposed to stay out of politics and remain neutral, especially the ones who were always destined to be king. Number 5. Princess Diana. When Prince Charles wed Diana in 1981 in front of a global television audience of more than 750 million people, the couple seemed to be perfect for each other. But behind the scenes, the marriage had extreme problems, and it became apparent that Charles was having an affair with Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall. A heartbroken Diana bravely decided to expose the affair in an infamous 1992 interview, saying, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Subsequently, Charles publicly admitted to being unfaithful in his own interview, and the couple eventually divorced in 1996. With his admission of guilt, there was already public outrage growing against him, but it all came to a head when the princess was killed in a Paris car crash in 1997. From that point on, there were vitriolic outpourings in the press against both him and Camilla, and his popularity sank to an all-time low. So the British public, who is still very protective of Diana, still haven't been able to forgive Charles for how he treated her during their ill-fated marriage. Number 4. Richard Rogers. The award-winning British architect had made it known that when it comes to his career and livelihood, his biggest enemy is King Charles, who has used his power and influence on several occasions to step in at the last minute and object to Richard's designs. In one instance, Charles personally wrote a letter to his client, the Prime Minister of Qatar, another royal, to say that Richard's design was too modern to be built on a site that was so close to Christopher Wren's 17th century Chelsea hospital. So the architect was kicked off the job and the British architectural establishment was up in arms. Richard said, "I don't believe that the Prince of Wales understands architecture. He thinks it is fixed at one point in the past. He occupies a privileged position, and he should not use that to damage the livelihoods of the people that he disagrees with." While it's common knowledge that Charles has a huge disdain for modern architecture, which is probably probably classist in some way or another, it seems as though he is not above ruining someone's career over his taste in buildings. Number 3, Boris Johnson. The former Prime Minister and the new reigning monarch always had a rocky relationship, but they got into a major spat when Boris started pushing the controversial Rwanda asylum plan. The policy would have allowed the government to remove asylum seekers who crossed the channel to the UK and send them to Rwanda to claim asylum there instead. In short, Boris thought it was a great plan, and Charles said that the idea sounded appalling. The former British PM hit back at his comments, saying that most people could see that criminal gangs need to be stopped, and that it's the job of the government to stop people breaking the law. But their relationship really began to sour, and Charles eventually invited Boris to his estate for a meeting, which was a complete disaster from start to finish, as Boris reportedly didn't show him any respect, and there was clearly a lot of tension between them. Number 2, Nigel Farage. The broadcaster and former politician was quick to criticize King Charles's opinion on the controversial Rwanda policy. Farage took to Twitter and slammed his comments, writing, "Unless Prince Charles wants to destroy the monarchy, he had better shut up fast." Not only did he disagree with his point of view, but the fact that he expressed it at all, considering that yes, he is a royal and should not be making his political opinions public. But Farage really came under fire after posting a clip that seemed to mock Queen Elizabeth's death. He shared a 5-second clip to his TikTok account, which has now been viewed more than 6 million times, with the caption, "The Queen is dead, long live the King." In the video, Nigel looked and sounded incredibly sarcastic and said, "The Queen is dead, long live the King, sad day but we now have a king." He also shared the post on Twitter. No one was really sure what he meant by it, but a lot of people thought it was inappropriate considering how little emotion he showed while making the announcement. And coming in at number 1, Princess Catherine. The royals are known for their discretion and their decorum, so you might not know that the new King of England did not get along with his daughter-in-law at all. Although Kate and William have been an item for over a decade, Charles reportedly didn't embrace her when she was first introduced to the family and did not approve of their relationship. Part of the reason was because they were immensely popular, and Kate and William would send the media into a tailspin every time they left the palace. Their whirlwind romance began just a few years after Charles married Camilla, and unfortunately the older couple didn't seem too happy about sharing the spotlight with the younger couple. In 2011, the pair flew to Canada and LA on their first official trip as a royal couple. They reportedly hoped to impress King Charles, but all he seemed to care about was the fact that they posed in too many tasteless photos. So Kate's relationship with her father-in-law was rocky from the beginning.
Number 10, Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie was the Harley Quinn to Leto's Mr. J back in the Suicide Squad days, but they most definitely were not as close off-screen as they were on-screen. A lot of people believe that he took his role as the Joker way too far. Being the first Joker since Heath Ledger, he had massive shoes to fill, and that may have gotten to his head a little bit. I don't know. Although he is known as a method actor, wherein he extends a personification of his character beyond the screen and into real life, he ended up doing some pretty harmful stuff to his co-star Margot Robbie. In fact, he sent the actor a live rat to her on set, apparently in an effort to better personify the Joker. There's absolutely no way she was happy about that, given she's an extremely professional actor and also who likes getting gifted a rat. Number 9, Will Smith. Will Smith is another Suicide Squad co-star who got caught in the craziness of the Jared Leto Joker personification. In fact, he may have gotten it worse, because he was gifted, along with a few others, a dead pig. You heard me right, Will Smith, the A-list actor, got gifted a dead pig. I guess he was trying to make people feel unsettled and uncomfortable with him as a person in hopes that it would translate to how they interacted with the Joker while on screen, but all it did was backfire on Jared Leto. Although he was featured very heavily in the trailer for the movie due to his insane antics, his screen time was cut all the way down to 10 minutes and he was barely featured at all when the movie finally came out. Will Smith also gave comment to Margot receiving her gift of the rat. When he first met Jared, he said, quote, "This dude walks in and says, 'I got a message from Mr. J,' and he puts a box down in front of Margot, being like, 'This is a gift from Mr. J in honor of your relationship.' Margot starts to open the box and there's a note from the Joker. And I was like, that's cool, that's funny. Jared is like taking it real serious. And Margot opened the box and there was a live rat in the box. I was playing Deadshot, but if I had pearls on, I would have clutched them. He even showed his own personal distaste for the character with, quote, "We all shared some really deep stories about ourselves and our pains and our triumphs. And then on set, you thought he was being a nice guy and you
you were trying to share your life, and then in the middle of a scene he throws your childhood trauma back at you and says, dude, the Joker did it. Number 8, Robert Pattinson. Although he didn't name Jared Leto specifically, it is pretty obvious who Robert Pattinson was shading during an interview, and that was none other than Jared Leto. While discussing how he got into the headspace to film The Lighthouse, a psychological thriller, he said he would be exhausted leaving the set. This was all during the time of people criticizing Jared Leto, so it seemed really pointed when Pattinson said, quote, I always say about people who do method acting, you only ever see people do the method when they're playing assholes. You never see someone being lovely to everyone while they're really deep in character. Number 7, Taylor Swift. There's no way that Taylor Swift's army took kindly to Jared Leto dissing their beloved singer. TMZ released a video of the Oscar winner critiquing the young singer's music. In the clip, Leto and his 30 Seconds to Mars bandmates listened to tracks from Taylor's album 1989. After playing some of her songs, the actor quickly became disenchanted by her and really aggressive. He exclaims, quote, "F her, I don't give a fuck about her." Although Taylor Swift never commented on the anger directed at her, her fans sure did. Jared immediately got pummeled online, and in an extremely rare response to criticism, Jared tweeted out, quote, "The truth is, I think Taylor Swift is amazing and an incredible example of what's possible. If I hurt her or her fans, my sincerest apologies." I don't know, man, or you can just not be mean for no reason. Number 6, Cara Delevingne. Cara Delevingne is another Jared Leto victim from her time on Suicide Squad. Playing the baddie of the movie Enchantress, she almost did a better job of playing a villain than he did. But Jared's weirdo method acting behavior waits for no man, and so as a wrap party gift, he gave Cara used condoms and toys meant for, you know, intimacy. She did not take too kindly to the gifts, obviously, especially because Cara had a rumored fling with Jared 4 years prior to the release of their movie together. Number 5, Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix was another actor to step into the role of the Joker in a later standalone movie. He was one of the best to do it in my opinion, although I don't think anyone can top Heath Ledger. But Joaquin apparently almost got stripped of the movie role because of Jared Leto. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Jared was under the impression that his initial stunt as the Joker would lead to many more movie roles, and there were talks about Jared being the Joker in the movie Joaquin would end up starring in. But likely due to making everyone uncomfortable and unsafe, none of those roles came to fruition. When he got wind that Joaquin Phoenix would be taking on the role to tell the supervillain's origin story, Jared reportedly felt, quote, alienated and upset. In response to the news, Jared actually attempted to stop the new production from happening. The outlet claims that he complained about the movie to both his agents and CAA, and even tried to contact Warner Bros. Partner company to get the movie pulled, obviously to no success. Considering it seems Jared has burned most of his bridges with anyone involved in the DC universe, don't expect him to return as the Joker in any capacity anytime soon, though you'll be able to watch Joaquin probably reprise his role in a sequel. Number 4, Viola Davis. Although Jared Leto makes tons of people uncomfortable while on the set of the Joker, none were as outspoken about how upset it made them like Viola Davis was. In an interview with Entertainment News, Viola said that she was less than pleased with a box of bullets that Leto sent her while on set for the comic book adaptation. Quote, "It was a little worrisome. It made you a little nervous, and I'm pretty tough. You know, I got into a few fights when I was growing up, but it scared me a little bit." She then said that she only ever really met Jared after filming ended because he was in character the entire time they were on set. Quote, "Before that, I was only introduced to the Joker, and I almost had my pepper spray out. You know, you remember the bullets you sent me? He gave very interesting gifts. I did not receive any personally, or else I would have got my husband, who was called Headache Ball back in the day when he played football, and I would have said, take care of the Joker." I almost wish he did send her a gift now just to see how that drama would unfold. Number 3, Cameron Diaz. Not many women have had long-lasting relationships with Jared Leto, except for one woman, Cameron Diaz. They were initially linked back in 1999, and a lot of people suspected that Jared was a rebound for Cameron, who just broke up with her previous boyfriend of a year. Despite maintaining a low-profile relationship, news circulated in 2000 that the couple were engaged. Cameron was spotted with a $15,000 ring at the 2003 Golden Globe Awards. That being said, Cameron was always very hesitant to talk about her relationship with Jared, saying that she didn't want to jinx it. But I guess no need, because the two broke up in 2003. Although she never commented on the relationship directly, she did make hints to Jared being awful to her. Quote, "My rule is that there are no tricks in this game. I believe in honesty and communication and in treating people the way you want to be treated. Love should be unconditional." And for his part too, Jared had admitted that he, quote, wasn't very nice to her. Whatever that means. Number 2, Dylan Sprouse. Dylan Sprouse, the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody star, very publicly came for Jared Leto's throat back in 2018 when he tweeted out, quote, "Yo, Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" Jared has a history of liking women who are much, much younger than him, and Dylan is coming for his throat. Maybe someone close to him got a particularly creepy DM, but either way, he was not having any of his nonsense. The tweet garnered almost 50,000 likes. Although Jared Leto nor his team have made any attempt to reply or even give any mention to the tweet, a lot of users did seem to suggest that there was an open secret about Jared Leto only liking barely legal girls. And lastly, James Gunn, the director of Suicide Squad. In a now deleted tweet that was a reply to Dylan Sprouse's shade posted after he had filmed Suicide Squad, James very not so subtly hinted at some very serious allegations. In response to Dylan's tweet, James Gunn said, quote, "He starts at 18 on the internet." James Gunn insinuating that Jared Leto tries hooking up with underage fans is extremely off base, and comes as no surprise to those who follow the actor after he was accused of being inappropriate with multiple teenage fans.